She wasn't meek or gutless, but that was the problem. She was too visible, socially inept, brash-voiced, and incessantly prattling about her scientific interests. Vicious children destroy whatever's different, anything that highlights the tedium of their own cookie-cutter existence. Maybe nature wants anomalies to be stamped out. Maybe it's unavoidable that normal people are cruel to strange people. Maybe I'm just trying to ease my conscience. It all started with Charlene and Daniel, the picture-perfect cheerleader with a symmetrical face, blonde hair, and slim physique. The Big Four footballer, crafted of muscle. The big bads. To survive this power couple, most of us worked hard to go unnoticed, a skill Brooke never quite mastered. During her first year of high school, she was guarded by her older brother, Rick, but when he graduated, Charlene and Daniel got to work. They mocked Brooke's idiosyncratic behavior at first, but she wasn't really bothered until they started to insult her physical differences. Split-ended brunette hair, crooked teeth in need of braces, exaggerated spacing between the eyes, a roll of puppy fat around the tummy. The poor girl eventually earned a juvenile name, Butt Ugly Brooke. Some called her Front Bum Brooke on account of her slight belly, but it was Butt Ugly Brooke that stuck. Everyone used the name just to avoid being the big bad's next victims. That's how I factor into this horrid equation. We were waiting outside the science lab when Charlene hurled Brooke to the floor. When she tried to stand, Charlene slammed a dainty plimsoll against her back. No, piggy, you walk on all fours, okay? Bawling Brooke did as cruel Charlene instructed, but I was blocking her way, standing in a frozen stupor in the middle of the corridor as the ordeal played out. It took me a second too long to shuffle my stiff feet to the side, and the big bads noted that with gleeful faces. They were gluttons for weakness in others. "Why so slow, Lindsay?" asked Daniel. I stammered. I was just, Charlene imitated, and a few of her friends snickered. "Lindsay, get on all fours and play with the piggy." "No!" I internally begged. Then, "I don't want to play with Butt Ugly Brooke," I said loudly, before turning to the crawling girl. "So, drag that front bum across the floor and get to class, piggy." I had never said anything so awful to anyone, but please don't judge me. You don't know the fear Charlene could instill with a glance. A lump of dread congealing in the chest, threatening to stop my very heart. Unbridled fear. I'm making excuses again. Was it cowardly to direct the bully's attention back to Brooke? Yes. Does that make me a bad person? I still don't know. Survival instinct, I called it. Weasley and cunning, I call it now. Whatever the case, the big bads howled with laughter, so I saved myself. Anyway, that's the worst thing I ever did. And this evening, 20 years later, it almost cost my life. "Lindsay, right?" the man across the supermarket aisle asked me. I instantly recognized him as Brooke's older brother, Rick. That returned terrible memories to my mind. There's a reason I rarely return to my hometown. After a minute of chatting, Rick asked me to dinner, and I stupidly said yes. Throughout the meal, I doubted whether I even liked him. Maybe I only agreed out of guilt for mistreating his sister, and maybe that was why I agreed to come back to his place, his parents' old house. "You inherited this?" I asked. He shook his head. "No, I'm visiting Brooke, remember?" I had only been half present during the meal, but my brain was catching up. Visiting Brooke. Shit. "I should go," I said. Too late. A voice sounded upstairs. "Who's there? Rick?" She spoke more softly than she once had, but it was her.
"Brooke. Sorry," Rick called back. "I met her at the supermarket and—" "Her?" She was coming down the stairs. "You've brought a her to my family home? Unbelievable. I've just put the kids to bed and you've brought a—" Brooke saw me. "A her." She recognized me, but I didn't recognize her. Slim, hair obediently velvety, teeth straight, eyes noticeably closer together, suggesting she had undergone plastic surgery. Beautiful Brooke now. I hated myself for that thought. Rick gestured at me. "This is— I know who it is," she said. I had to get out. "Rick, I'm sorry, but I'm leaving. And Brooke, I'm sorry for what I did." Rick looked gormless as I backed out of the front door. I expected one of the siblings to stop me, but they started to bicker about Brooke ruining her brother's date. I waited for an Uber on the front lawn, preferring that to standing in the hallway with her, preferring that to confronting what I'd done. Coward. The front door opened behind me, but I kept looking out at the road ahead. "Lindsay," called Brooke as she walked across the grass. "We got off on the wrong foot." I turned in time to see a split-second flash of the ceramic vase before losing consciousness, and when I woke, an unknown length of time later, my head and ankles were throbbing. With great difficulty, I sat up to find myself in an attic, dark save for the orange glow of a light bulb overhead. I was sitting outside that pool of light, blind to my own body, not blind to the pain though, and my ankles wouldn't allow me to stand. Panic took hold. I'd been hobbled. I let out a little murmur of horror as I reached forwards, finding ankles swollen and damp to the touch. Under the dingy light bulb, Brooke sat at a wooden work table laden with metal utensils too distant to discern, but even the least adventurous of imaginations could take a well-aimed stab at what purpose those tools might serve. The sound of me shuffling into a sitting position alerted her. She swiveled in her creaking desk chair to face me. "You're awake." "Rick!" I whispered in a failed cry for help. "Don't bother," was Brooke's advice. "He's out. By the time he's conscious, we'll be done." True terror set in. I rattled my limp legs about, willing the bones in my ankles to miraculously heal, but succeeding only to send fresh surges of pain through them. Then I let out a little blubber of fright and braced for death. "Death?" I scoffed. "If she were going to kill you, you wouldn't be awake right now." I cleared my throat. "Brooke. Don't you mean but ugly Brooke? What about babbling Brooke? That was the only one I liked. The only creative one. I was a loudmouth. I wanted to scream at her that I'd already said sorry, that this was an unjust punishment, it didn't fit the crime. But I listened to my trusty survival instinct. I needed to placate her. "We're even, Brooke. I hurt you, you hurt me. It's over now. I won't go to the police." "No, you won't." She got up and started to back into the dark corner of the attic, telling me to stay put. This made her giggle, as evidently I wasn't going anywhere, not on those ankles. At that point, I didn't fully know terror. I would. There was a murmur from the shadows and a dull shuffle against the floorboards. "Come on," Brooke grunted, re-entering the light with a dog leash. She was leading something past the work table. Someone. On all fours was a woman with a ballooned body, weighing possibly 600 pounds. Clumps of her blonde hair were gone, most likely due to ill health, beyond obesity, judging by the discoloration of her skin,
marred with bruises and unknown stains. She had no teeth, and her face was surgically altered. But unlike Brooke, this crawling creature's eyes had been pushed farther apart. I wouldn't have recognized the enslaved woman, if not for the rags of an old cheerleader outfit hugging her otherwise nude form. Charlene. Gummy lips quavering and speech impeded, the toothless woman begged, "Kill me." Brooke backhanded her captive's bloated face. Animals don't speak, but ugly. The deformed woman oinked through blubbers. "Good," Brooke said, "and don't even think about standing. No, no, piggy. You walk on all fours, okay?" It's a strange thing, feeling empathy for someone so monstrous. Though what I felt most of all was horror, because now we need to talk about what happens to you, Lindsay, said Brooke as Charlene crawled backwards into the shade, oinking as if performing a rehearsed routine. "This is crazy. What are the odds you and I would meet again?" "Talk about good fortune. For both of us, actually. This is your chance for redemption, Lindsay. I took away your ankles because you're a worm. So, you'll crawl, Lindsay, for your life." Brooke opened the attic door and light erupted into the loft space from below, revealing another horror. On the filthy mattress opposite me, breathing gently, was the limbless, perhaps also tongueless, judging by his mutinous, torso of a man. It would have been less horrifying if he were dead, I realized. And there was little by which to identify him, but I knew. It was Daniel. "Don't mind my husband," Brooke said. Then she raised a brow at me. "I showed you the exit, Lindsay. Aren't you going to crawl out before I catch myself a new pet?" Terrified by the prospect of ending up like Charlene, I dug my fingers into the floorboards and clawed my way towards the attic door. Dragging my broken ankles across the floor, I wailed in pain, but managed to dangle them out through the attic opening. Before I had a chance to wonder what to do next, "Down the hatch," Brooke said. She pushed hard on my back, and I shrieked as I fell through the opening. It's a miracle I didn't break anything else as I slid bottom first down the ladder. But there was certainly far more excruciating pain as my ankles met the upstairs landing. "Help!" I sobbed, a crumpled mess on the carpet. "Soundproofed house, Lindsay," Brooke said, stepping onto the first rung of the ladder. "Crawl, worm, crawl." Every muscle in my body spasming with dread and adrenaline, I pulled myself down the stairs on my front, then I slithered my worm-like form across the front hallway with Brooke in pursuit. "There we go, Lindsay," she said, as I clambered to my knees. "I knew you'd do it." I pulled the unlocked front door inwards, bringing in a gust of what I feared would be my last taste of fresh air, for I could hear Brooke striding hurriedly across the entryway. I whimpered, expecting this all to have been nothing, that I would become Charlene anyway. "Quickly, little worm," came a whisper from behind me. I hurled myself over the threshold. The door slammed behind me. I had made it. From there, I crawled across the front path and up the pavement whilst calling the police. They tell me they arrived to find Brooke had fled with Charlene and Daniel. Rick was unconscious in the spare room. As I lie in this hospital bed, the police officer keeps telling me I'm safe now. I'm not. Not with these crippled ankles. Not while she's still out there.